engaged in the same kind of propaganda. And this film is the real stories about the families of the victims of drone strikes. And we hoped, when making this film, that when people hear those real stories and they see a human face to the policy, that it would change public opinion and make people understand that it's a counterproductive policy that is causing more terrorism whilst also sacrificing innocent lives.
Jemima, you know what our problem is as Pakistanis? I mean, I'm talking from experience that we do our talk shows in Urdu. Most of our press is vernacular press, which is Urdu. And somehow or the other, our narrative or our apprehensions, they never reach out to those in the West. And as a consequence, we feel totally isolated. And now comes this documentary, which is a great documentary and a great attempt. Do you think that it will help bridge the gap between the Pakistan and frustrations that Pakistanis have regarding the drones and the Western opinion makers?
The protagonists in the film, so some of the people that you see featured in that film, spoke last week in front of Congress and talked about the real impact of drone strikes on their lives. There's been a great deal of press surrounding the film in America, and we've made it obviously not just to show in Pakistan, although it's great that you are showing it on ARY, but we also want it to be shown on American television, and in the UK we have the premiere here next week, and it will be available on YouTube to watch for free in a few weeks. And, you know, you're right, public opinion in America is very much in favor of drone strikes, but we're hoping that that is because they're fed the same, you know, the usual lies that drones are about, you know, precision and that there's no collateral damage, and we know that's not true. We know because we've met and we've heard the stories about the victims of drone strikes, and their families have come forward, and you know, we know that 178 children have been killed as a result of those attacks. And that's according to the BIJ, the Bureau of Investigative Journalism. And we know that Amnesty International have come out with a report. And Amnesty International have actually, and backed up by the UN, have claimed they think that war crimes have taken place and they want to see accountability for those crimes. But, you know, our main objective is to show to represent the victim story, because you know, people have asked me and they've said, well, you know, the film is a bit one-sided. Well, that's deliberate. We've heard the other side. You know, it's all we've ever heard is the official side, the denials, and the insistence that drone strikes are accurate and they don't kill innocent civilians. We've heard that from everyone, from official press releases, right, you know, and from the President of America himself. And we know that that's not true.
You know, ARY will be showing this film more than once, I can promise you that. But having said that, I'm very curious about one thing, that there is one basic element missing in the film. And that is that FATA, actually, which is popularly known as a tribal area, is actually part of Pakistan. So that is also an attack on the sovereignty of Pakistan. And somehow or the other, people in the West, especially the opinion makers, miss out that very elementary aspect.
Yeah, and let's not forget, you know, that the US is meant to be an ally of Pakistan. So it makes it all the more extraordinary that you bomb your allies. But I mean, I think there is a problem. That's why we wanted to focus on these very real stories. You know, a 6-year-old girl talking about her grandmother being killed while she went out to pick okra in the fields. The reason why we wanted to focus on those stories, because I think there is this disconnect. I mean, you know, we saw Obama in tears when he was talking about the Sandy Hook massacre in America, and those 28 children, I think, who very tragically lost their lives in that massacre. But, you know, I want to ask, why are there not any tears for the 178 children who have lost their lives in America, and a large number of those directly as a result of policies that he has put in place? So I think you know, there is this disconnect where, you know, brown people far away don't matter for some reason as much as American children, and that has got to change.
Now, there's one thing that I fear, that when you were Jemima Khan, you faced a lot of criticism over here for many reasons, and most of that was very unfortunate and unfair, I must add. And now that you're Goldsmith, and you're making this film, or you've made this film on the drone attacks inside Pakistan, that will not make you very popular in the British society as well. So are you aware of that, and still you went ahead, or will you now face that?
God, I've long since stopped worrying about what people say here in those kinds of circles that you're talking about. But I'm not worried about that. No, is my answer.
Jemima, I want you to tell us and the viewers basically how did the idea come to you? I mean, why did you think of making a film on the drone attacks? 178 children, right? I mean, you have a great case over there. But at what point would you say that you sort of decided, yes, now I'm going to bring this to the attention of the rest of the world, and I'm going to make sure...
Well, I think part of the problem is that because it's a covert war on the part of the CIA, there aren't really any official statistics. So a lot of people actually don't have the information. I suspect that a great number of Pakistanis are more aware than British people about these wars that are being waged in their name and with their money, essentially taxpayers' money. And because it's a secret war, we don't have the facts and figures and the information. So it's very easy to lie to the public. And equally, it's made even easier because Waziristan is not an accessible place where journalists can't go, and or certainly can't go easily. And so it's I thought that it was really important to make a film which actually shows the other side and tries to get beyond the figures.
So now, when do you screen this in the US?
In the UK, did you
Sorry?
say? We've done the Washington and the New York screenings.
Okay.
We've got the screening in London on the 6th of November, so the day after tomorrow. And then and I've invited, you know, politicians, MPs, opinion makers, journalists, people of influence who I feel would benefit from seeing the film. Then we're going to send it out to more of the same. And then hopefully people will watch it on YouTube as well, and via social media we can get people talking.
One part of the film is that you've brought in awareness to the rest of the world that, okay, this is an atrocity that is taking place over there. It is killing the innocent children, women and men over there. And now the other part is to rehabilitate those families, to bring them and make them a part of the mainstream society before they get sucked into by terrorists and, you know, by their recruits over there. Do you think we can do something towards that together?
I think you're right. I think there's lots of different things that we need to kind of aim for. The main objective of this film is to try and change public opinion and get drone strikes stopped, to get people to respect international law, because it sets, apart from anything else, a very dangerous precedent to completely ignore international law, kill without trial. And also one of the things that I would like to see happen, although it's not really addressed by the film, is, you know, some form of accountability whereby criminals on both sides are held to account, whether that is the criminals in the US who have conducted war crimes or guilty of war crimes, but also the terrorists in Pakistan who also need to be brought to justice. But there needs to be a system for that, and arbitrary assassinations without trial, I don't think, are the answer. And I also don't think they make the world a safer place. I think one of the fundamental objections that I have against drone strikes is that they make everybody less safe. They increase jihadism. I don't think they decrease it. I think that it's a short-term solution to a complicated problem.
Jemima, I have to ask you a personal question, and you'll excuse me for that. Because when we were discussing the possibilities of putting this on air over the email, I am categorically clear that neither yourself, nor your agent, nor your manager, nobody asked me for any monetary gains. Nobody asked me for money. I mean, you've actually put in all your time, your effort, and definitely a lot of money, and you're not looking for any monetary gains in return, or even to break even, or to cover up the costs of the project. What has prompted you to go this far?
Well, it's a not-for-profit film. You're right. We're not even releasing it in cinema theaters. It is purely for advocacy purposes. We don't. Well, probably wouldn't be able to make money from it even if we wanted to, but that's not the aim, and it's free to view. And that's because it is about hopefully changing public opinion and changing policy. But it's something that I care really deeply about, and something needed to be done in the face of relentless lies and a whole machinery behind those lies.
Do you think that we can finally hope to get our narrative across to the West as to what is really going on over here and